Got it. Awesome. Okay, guys. Hey, welcome to STAR. Tonight's mission is going to be Science Bricktion, run by our bridge crew members, Logan and John. Okay. Exciting. Okay. So in 2 short weeks, we're going to be watching the new action superhero film Venom. That should be exciting. Last Friday we actually went to see a movie and we had a blast. And it was a great opportunity to make new friends inside the club and socialize. So it was a real good time. Let's see. The day immediately after, didn't have enough star. The first one, guess what? We're going to be represented at an event called Nerdocalypse. We don't have a slide for it, so use your imagination. But we're going to be partaking in this event where there are several other nerdy clubs from RIT that will be joining, and we're all going to be represented there. And individually, each club's going to be picking who's going to be the king of the nerds through their own club's unique way. I believe, can we talk about that?
We're also going to be hosting our spaceship version here, which is a fun little game from CA.
Super fun game, yeah.
Team.
So again, Nerdocalypse is October 6th. Okay.
Ahoy, nerds. So some of you may have heard of StarFest before. It is the convention that we run. It is our sci-fi convention. It's really fun, but we need help planning it so that it can actually happen. We are having our first interest meeting this Sunday from 1 to 3 in Clark A. That's on this floor. It's just around the corner. It's next to the Mosaic Room. But if you are having a hard time finding it, just follow the smell of pizza, because we're going to have free pizza. And gesturing. There's going to be even more gesturing at that meeting. Your hands. But please join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. And we're going to make a convention again.
It's like a great time. Let's see. Okay. So on top of that, if you are feeling parched at any point in this meeting, we are selling Coke. We are selling soda in 3 fantastic flavors for $1 a pop. We have Construction Coke. We have Peace That You Stepped On Pepsi. We have Spaceship Sprite. And we have 1 single can of Coke Cherry Zero. Still kind of like beating around in the refrigerator, waiting to eventually get drunk. Let's see.
Where does the money go to?
The money actually goes to the ASL Foundation. ALS Foundation. ASL. So that just helps. True. Okay, so if you'd like to become a member of the STAR Club, it is $6 for a semester or $10 for a year. If you feel that especially confident, you can save 2 entire smackaroos. Let's see. If you'd like to purchase a STAR shirt, it is $15, unless, of course, you made that smart decision of becoming a member, in which case it is $10. Look at how nice it looks. Guaranteed to make you look better, not guaranteed. I think that about covers. Oh, webmaster. Hello. Do you like making websites, or do you like the STAR website, or do you look at the STAR website and go, I have a thing I could add to that? The STAR Webmaster Committee is the team that made the STAR website and all the shiny things it can do, like let you look up like what missions people have run in the past and view their old live streams and stuff. If you'd like to be part of the future of the STAR website and add new features going forward, talk to either John, Hammer, or myself after the mission to express your interest. And you can also join the webmaster channel or website channel on the STAR Slack.
it's a great way to help support the club and to, if you are a software person, build your GitHub portfolio, which is always something that companies appreciate.
Okay, and without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Logan and John. Woo.
So, to celebrate our wonderful home of RIT, we're doing a mission on the bricks of sci-fi.
We really thought we would go to our RT roots and just spend an entire 2 hours talking about all the concrete you will find in science fiction. And if you don't know, that's for Kid Breaks. You came to join us. By those reasons, we're actually going to be talking about Legos. So,
And also Mega Blocks.
no, sure. Look at this. I'm assuming you guys are here that you play Legos.
What do you mean? Who's ever played Legos before?
Don't be Mega Block.
Rude.
So, I've always wanted the original Lego themes they had. Space. Originally, when Legos first released, it was just nothing but blocks. There wasn't really any themes. All you had to do was your imagination. But imagination is like, I don't know, it's too broad. So we decided to do themes eventually, and one of their first earliest themes were just space, in which it was very simple. They just had a lot of space themed stuff and men in space uniforms.
How about small these numbers are? 497.
Yeah, they numbered their Lego sets or whatever. You had like spaceship, other spaceship, space station, and weird spaceship, space station with robot legs that have heads and arms coming out of it.
Lego predicted Pacific Rim? Yes.
I made sure the Pacific Rims have robot arms on their legs.
I'm sure some of them do.
But yeah, this was one of the earliest ones that went for a pretty long time. Yeah, and so.
I started back in the 1950s. Yeah, it ended in like the 70s, I think, when they started doing more specific stuff.
I don't know what happened.
Eventually, space expanded a bit towards our themes. Some stuff was Space Police.
Yeah, the Space Police just was a nice little spin-off of that line. And after that, we of course had Space Police again for another year, and then that also failed. So then they decided to do it again.
They tried it 3 times, and 3 times it failed.
Yeah, I think this one went for 2 years, so that was close. But so
I think it helped that they actually added aliens into Space Police. I mean, those are just a bunch of people and space uniforms.
But like as you can see, like the sets started to get a lot more elaborate as time went on, and things just became more attractive to the average consumer. As Lego got more money to move on.
Was this around 2014?
2009.
Okay, wow.
It's still pretty recent, but yeah. So I think now for like the one that we all know about.
Really was? I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, this was Star Wars was one of their earliest themes. Yes. Maybe.
No, I think it's more like the Dr. Y.
Oh, right. When you go through the sword game.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, for real now, Lego Star Wars, it's been.
Maybe.
Anyways, Lego Star Wars has been around for a long time, so long that they used to have their Lego people with yellow heads. So, yeah, I think it's been, they were releasing them around the same time that the early movies were being released.
Not the early movies. They started releasing these around the time Episode 1 came out.
Okay. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, in like the late 90s. And yeah, they started off with the yellow colored heads, but Lego Star Wars is actually the first series of Lego sets to use the flesh colored
And it's also,
Two.
Lego Star Wars is also the first themes of Legos based off of a different property that wasn't original. It was like, they took the Star Wars property and made them into Legos. And it's been around ever since. And in fact, it's been around still practically touched everything there is to Star Wars. They even included this vehicle right here, the AT-AP, which appeared in only a single frame in episode 3, and they made a Lego set out of it.
Yeah, and I bought it.
Yes, or the Big Wing, which also didn't appear as much in the original movie.
You know,
And they made 2 of them. Or
yeah,
maybe
or the
3.
Ultimate Collector Series one. That one must have been like $400.
I think they released this one twice, like this exact Lego set, but they made like all minor details.
Hello. Hello.
I mean, this happened last year where the computer kept turning.
Yeah, it's whatever. So, moving forward, as we talk more about Lego Star Wars, I would like to preface with when Lego Star Wars first started coming out, Lego was not doing very well financially. So, this is the first Millennium Falcon. If you've ever followed Lego Star Wars, you know the Millennium Falcon is that set that they will not stop releasing more and more of. I think they're on like the 11th Millennium Falcon now, after 20 years. But around like the early 2000s, things started to get better for them, and they started to get a lot more talent in the company, and they managed to evolve their set's quality thanks to a franchise that we will talk about later in this mission that is near and dear to my heart. You can see that, and you know it's like night and day here.
How much did the original 2001 cost?
Oh my god, I totally forgot. It's like $200. This was. Yeah, I don't know who would pay $200 for that. Evidently nobody, because they almost went bankrupt. But yeah, things started to improve, and as Lego Star Wars became Lego's most profitable line, we started getting way more Lego Star Wars sets, to the point where they just will not stop making them, and they basically won't make anything but them. But they also increase in quality more and more, until eventually you got the set that came out last year, the brand new Millennium Falcon, and the biggest Lego set that was ever been released.
Was about more than 7,000 pieces. It's about $800 too.
Yeah, $800.
7,000 pieces.
Yeah, actually, when you get down to it, $800 is a really good value for that sort of set, because what you had was a lot of, with smaller Lego sets, they tend to fit more closer to the average of about 10 cents per piece. But once they go up to over like 1,000 pieces, once they get up over 1,000 pieces, that starts to drop. So like what you end up with that is a 7,000 piece set for like $800. So
But still,
kind of.
It looks really good.
It does look really good. And I feel like, despite the fact that they still keep making more Millennium Falcons, I think that this one is basically the definitive Millennium Falcon. How big is it? I think it's like a whole meter across almost.
It's almost.
Yeah. If
My recollection is that's about half the size of one of these tables.
Yeah,
maybe
it's definitely more than that.
Vincent? I think this one was actually. I think
No, that one wasn't.
Oh no, it wasn't.
They did make one, a smaller one around that was from the sequel trilogy. And then they made one that was for Solo last year, because, you know, of course they did.
No, Solo was this year.
No, but they released the set last year. Because Lego has a very bad habit of spoiling the properties that they're based on.
Yeah, fun story. Lego spoiled Civil War for me. Anyone don't mind Civil War spoilers? Okay, so you know the big moment where it's like literally the big moment where Ant-Man turns into Giant Man and stuff like and grabs it. I was quoted because Lego released a set where they had a giant Lego Ant-Man with minifigure, like all the other Avengers fighting them. I'm like, oh, that would have been a cool surprise.
In case you didn't want to hammer the point home that Ant-Man in Civil War was just a set piece, make him an actual set piece and sell him as that. So one thing that was interesting about the Lego Star Wars sets around the beginning at least, that's really interesting is it really shows an evolution in how Lego started to design their sets as a whole. Like when you have these sets that were in the first couple of years, there wasn't really a whole lot going on. It was mostly just like a little kind of shoddily built sculpture with maybe a couple of figures in it. But as things started to progress in the future, Lego started to experiment a little bit more with the play aspect of each individual set. And so what they started to do was make their sets based on story pieces rather than little individual set pieces. So you end up with, like, if you have a snow speeder set, you have some Rebels with a snow speeder, and if that were released, 3 years before, that probably would have been it. But they decided to put in just a little bit extra and have like a little snowtrooper with a machine gun there.
Or this one right here, where it's just the final confrontation in episode 6 with Luke versus Darth Vader and the Emperor's there with his magic lightning fingers. Although they did have something like if you come like around the earlier times where they literally released Luke Skywalker walking down a hallway as a Lego set. They didn't even come with the lightsaber. It was just Luke Skywalker walking down a hallway.
Yeah.
I think it was like 12 pieces, and then it was sold for $12.
1999 was some tough times.
All right, so we're not Star Wars.
So we head into the building system that is nearest and dearest to my heart. Good old Technic.
Or robots.
Yeah. So the story behind this is basically around when they were having their financial troubles, they decided to have Lego wanted to make a building system separate from their standard bricks that was more mechanically focused to try and bring in older audiences. And they released these little guys as test runs. They were Throwbots or Slizers or Robo Riders, depending on which one you bought, which country you were in, which store you bought them from. It was kind of it was kind of a branding mess, and they tried out stuff like disc launcher functions and gear functions, and there was a lot of really cool like little.
I want the motorcycle one.
Yeah. You just do what you did. But those were prototype runs, which opened the way for them to try something in earnest. Lego's very first action figure line, Bionicle. My babies, my love and joy.
And I also watch some live stream too.
I went on Bridge Crew, the franchise that I became a Bridge Crew member just to create a mission where I could bring that to you, where I could talk about it to everyone.
Oh, so do I.
I own too many of them too.
I have like 50 of them in stores back home.
Yeah, Lego Bionicle is an interesting franchise to look at in Lego's terms, because you have what started off as something very. It is a theme that changed very much over the 9 years that it was, the 9 years that it was actually around. When they started off with gear functions. Their aesthetic was a lot more based on the Maori peoples of New Zealand, to the point where they used the characters' names were from the Maori language, and Lego was sued by the Maori peoples, so that they had to change a lot of characters' names, and they basically abandoned the whole language and aesthetic from then forward.
And the original creator also left the series.
The original creator did also left the series. They had the original creator, the original writer anyway, Christian Faber, was involved from the start, and he ended up leaving in like 2003. He still writes things now. He's not very high profile, mostly just does promotional stuff for CryoShell, which was a band that did some of the songs from the Bionicle trailers. But yeah, they're CryoShell, also known as boneless evanescence. So yeah, because of all those things, it kind of moved forward. Lego kind of shifted the focus of the series away from the function focus and play focus to more of a try and like market to, I guess, preteens, teens. They started getting really edgy. Had All American Rejects play in a trailer, and
someone has a mohawk.
Yeah, he's got a mohawk and shredder claws.
And he's black and red. Oh my god, how edgy he is.
I know.
To be fair, like 10-year-old me was like, oh my god, I want him because he's so edgy.
Yeah, 20-year-old me is like, I want him because he's so edgy. But things started to go downhill with the franchise a lot, and not necessarily objectively speaking, or even like as a matter of opinion. Like I think they started to meander a bit. The sets themselves started decreasing in quality, not even as late as these, whatever the hell they are.
They're like, I think this was their last batch of Bionicles.
Yeah, starting in 2008, they redid the joints on them, so they started coming out with joints that would break if you took them off and put them back on too much. Especially if you used older ball joints, because those were a little bit bigger and a little bit coarser. So as that went on, and they started using similar builds to each other from year to year, so people kind of slowed down buying them because it felt like they were just buying the same sets year after year. And it basically just all kind of came to a head when they really, really tried in 2009 to basically reboot the series with a whole new movie and everything. I think the voice actor for Montanui in that movie was someone famous. I don't even remember. I don't remember who it was. If anyone can tell me who that voice actor was, because I remember he played something else that was like kind of big, but like, yeah, that sounds familiar. Oh, Worf. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, so they had Worf playing Montanui, but I think that was the point for a lot of people when the series just kind of totally jumped the shark, was when they made the big reveal that the entire series, for the entire last 8 years that they've been following it, all took place in a 40 million foot tall giant space robot.
Was it actually 40 million tall?
Yep, 40 million feet tall. Which means that the water moon that it landed on was actually bigger than Earth. Yeah, it's a time. A lot of people blame Greg for that. He was the writer that took over after Christian Faber left. But they had that giant robot was planned from the beginning which is just amazing to me that they kept that secret for 8 years.
Was it actually planned from the beginning?
Yep, there's sketches from 1999 showing the giant robot and where like the first island was, because the first island was in space, which I thought was really cool. Because looking at that island as a kid, I always thought that island looked like space.
Wow.
So basically, like Transformers, where all of them grew up on a Cybertron, which is truly Primus.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, actually. Except it didn't take them 8 years to figure out that Primus was a robot, you know? Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, the series got canceled in 2010, which I think around 2009 they were also hoping for to start a giant, like a 3-year storyline, which unfortunately, when Lego Canada, they had to rush through that story within one toy season.
Within one toy season, which includes the catastrophe, but the glorious catastrophe that is Greg Farshti's serials that ended the series. You ended up with so many just heel face turn plot twists that were just ridiculous. Like one of the Little Matoran sets from 2006 was actually like an even bigger villain than the real villain the whole time, and
And also, like,
I haven't even finished.
The last Bionicles they released were like, they were basically copies of older Bionicles with TV size. Like, whereas, like, yeah, for a lot of here, it was like this tall. Like, it would be like almost half its size, like 2/3, let's say.
Yeah. And actually, they're about the same size as those original sets, like height-wise, and they had more pieces, which is interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it felt a lot smaller. Yeah. So I think this ultimately was, and so now we end up, all that's really left of old Bionicle are the memories we hold in our hearts, and Greg Farshti still asking the questions of man-children who can't let go.
I still love Bionicle. It was my childhood.
Yeah.
We made some great pieces.
But then when Bionicle came, something else had to replace it.
The wonderful Hero Factory. They are not near and dear to my heart. These guys are not fun. They had some interesting ideas to them. The idea with Hero Factory was it was a similar thing with the Slicers and Throwbots from back in '99 and 2000, where they kind of wanted to transition into a new building system with a line that no one really cared about, and that they knew no one would really care about for 3 years.
Hey, it lasted for a long time.
Lasted for 3 years. That's about the standard for.
No,
it was 3 because there was V1, V2, and
lasted for 6 years.
6 years.
It was 6 generations.
Wow, 6 years.
No, because it went from 2011, 2012, 2013. Bionicle was,
I'll look it up.
The next one was announced in 2014, and then it came out in 2015. But anyway, so like these guys did a lot for back in the my big red X over the guys you talked about. But like so, yeah, it's Lego small. They've got these. So these guys are, they're awful, and there's nothing really great about them.
It was 4 years.
Okay. But there was definitely some saving graces. I think the villains of the series used the Bionicle building system almost to a T, and they made some sets that honestly looked better than a lot of the Bionicle sets that came out towards its waning years. And as Hero Factory went on, they started to evolve their building system from the traditional Bionicle ball and socket to what Lego uses now. the CCBS character and creature building system, which is a lot more versatile and a lot more compact. Which, moving forward, was what they used to complete their grand design, bringing Bionicle back. These guys came out to very mixed reception.
And a poor Netflix series.
Yeah, a really bad Netflix series. So I honestly really like these guys. This was, I think, when that CCBS, the character creature building system, really was solidified and found its identity was in these figures. You had figures with high degrees of posability. They created a gearbox piece that allowed them to keep their posability and have gear functions, which was something that the original Bionicles were never able to do. And they were a lot. The sets were a lot bigger and they were a lot more complex. And I think they moved the series. I think they moved things forward in a lot of ways.
I'm still upset at some of the things they changed. They made Lua the tool of jungle. He's the tool of air.
Yeah.
Why didn't they make him jungle?
Because don't you know, jungle is elements. The primary elements of haven't you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Earth, water, fire, air, and jungle. But they ended up releasing some, and even as they moved into 2016, they only, well, I can't say they only got better, because I don't really like some of the sets that came out in 16, because there's a lot of translucent pieces in there that I'm not a fan of, but like, stuff like this came out in 2016, and this is like an absurdly complex set, even more so than I think anything that Bionicle came out with in its original run.
Debatable.
But unfortunately, this was not to last. There are two potential reasons it got canceled. The first is the normie excuse, which was enough kids didn't buy the sets.
That's
I did. Oh no, it's ironic. Since you need me to explain the joke. Or there is the true woke galaxy brain understanding of what happened, where Disney forced Lego to end this line so that they can make creepy Star Wars figures. Did you cut the creepy Star Wars presentation?
But yeah, if you look at the Star Wars videos, they look really creepy, especially their faces.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to see them,
Actually, yeah, you know what? Hell, let's back out of this presentation. Let's look up some creepy Star Wars figures. We got time. No, Disney doesn't own Lego. Disney owns Star Wars. Lego. No, Lego just gets contracted. Yeah. There are only two. Well, there are three types of Star Wars CCBS figures. There are the terrifying human ones with skeleton proportions and mechanical painted-on faces. There are stormtroopers, because there are a lot of stormtroopers. Yeah, and like they're good sets. There's just like 10 of them, and they only made these for 3 years. Actually, no, they only made them for 2 years. Yeah. That guy? That's Finn. Oh, the guy, I mean, that guy over there, or this guy? Yeah, a lightsaber in the movie.
Yeah, they're forcing no material so gray with a stick.
Wait, Zachary, did you just imply that Lego was against spoiling a movie?
For what?
Oh, I just want to mention, when we move on from Bionicle, I want to mention, last year when my co-ops and I took a class about manufacturing.
Yeah.
And like the director of it, taught us the basics by having groups of people build a Bionicle in the fastest time possible.
Wow.
And none of us could sit because he was like, and he gave us a set, he gave us a booklet. It's like, all right, do it in the most efficient way possible in this amount of time.
And you couldn't finish it within 10 minutes?
No. I might be like halfway through. You guys told somebody?
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for the crack theories, John. One theory is that maybe Bionicle fanboys grew up in a sense and wasn't really
Okay.
into it too much.
That's the thing. That is something I disagree with because going into this, it's Lego. Lego isn't making toys for 20-something people that 20-something Peter Pans.
I mean, usually have to be the age of the boxes, don't they?
Yeah, and so like they're trying to sell these to children, like ages 8 to 14. In case I wanted to feel bad about myself. So you'd be surprised. Yeah, the instructions are really straightforward, especially in these new ones because the instructions have gotten a lot better. There's like no weird pictures anymore. It's really comprehensive now.
Anyways.
But yeah, so
imagine if we could spend hours talking about Bionicle. There were ever Lego since it's released. No, it's just that Bionicle is just a deep franchise.
Lego never made another set. They stopped after 2016. Although in my opinion they might as well have. We'll get to that later.
Bionicle's a deep franchise, so we're great for so.
Yeah, well, I will say it has very deep lore. Its story is on a level of convolution that is comparable to Kingdom Hearts. I mean, you're right. Transformers are. I hope someone does a Transformers mission for Star. Oh yeah. I mean, it is still a massive. Yeah. It is the first Transformers movie that doesn't look like the worst thing ever made, which is amazing. Thanks for not being Michael Bay, guy who's directing Barbie. Yeah, it's supposed to be in like the 60s, I think. So. Oh, I know. I'm actually like low-key excited. What's up?
If you talk about stuff, you mean I want to see which robot transform with Jeff's robot in the woods? Just talk about stuff. You talk about a robot transform from Jeff's robot in the woods area. That wasn't Starsky. That's in every blizzard.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah. And, it's just so great to see those movies continue to retcon the original first Transformers movie. Man, remember? I mean, you're right. Unfortunately. If you look at even the shows, they have no continuity. So Transformers Prime, that's a legitimately good show. Yeah. So backing up a little bit, when Bionicle saw some success, Lego decided that for some reason, they would take their idea of making action figures and make it so simple that there's basically nothing to do with them at all. The only reason it gets a whole slide is because these guys were huge in my childhood.
They had a live action series.
Yeah, they tried to make this. They tried to make this work. They had like a digital toy thing that like changed based on which figurehead you put into it, which was, it just blew my mind as a 5-year-old here. Lego tried for this one. Lego tried to integrate tried to make like doing original creation and do it as a plot element in this story, and they called it. Well, what do you think they called it? They called it glinching. But yeah, they had a digital toy. They had sets, which now some of them go for like $120 because they're just that rare now. They had a live action TV show. They had McDonald's.
Yeah, this one was a toy you could get with your Happy Meal.
This is the most unreasonable amount of effort I have seen a company put into a brand, put into a line that lasted for less than a year.
I don't even know what's on his head right there. Is that a robot piece of hair?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's like so. Yeah. I think
they also look appeasing too.
I think there were like 14 sets, which for a 1-year run is like a lot for Lego, especially back then. It's crazy, especially because these faces are so much less terrifying than the ones on the new figures.
Oh yeah, I agree.
They are still terrifying.
Especially this one right here.
Yeah, I'm staring into your soul. Oh yeah, they also released a multi-platform video game for it. Yeah, the GBA game is actually like legit good. It's just really slippery controls, but it is pretty good.
Wow, Lego.
And we have Pacific Rim.
This is one they like anime.
Yeah, it's Gundam, Pacific Rim, not Evangelion.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, they went full on anime with this one.
This was the first Lego line to use their no, they used stickers before this, but this is definitely one of the first ones to use them heavily. But this was the first line that actively used ratchet joints, whereas Bionicles popularized the ball and socket joints. Exoforce really tried to do ratchet joints, and they did try to do some ratchet joint stuff in Bionicle. I think there was a couple of sets that used them, but for the most part, they just kind of relegated them to this. And like, some really cool sets. Like, I never watched mecha anime as a kid. But
Because those were pieces beautifully made, as well as with some of those joint pieces, I could actually I use them for Legos.
I mean, they look physically appealing on box.
And growing up and being a nerdy physics major, I recognize the achievement of making those cords out of a like bendable material where the light would internally reflect all the way down. And yeah, like they would light up those cords there. And they would light up the beams and everything. There was a lot of like technical stuff to this, which I think was part of why I didn't really catch on. Because a lot of that was really cool, but it also was hard to take apart and do your own thing with. And plus, pretty much everything they came out with was just the mech.
I never owned any of these as a kid because as a kid I was like, anime is stupid. Of course I'm older now, I'm like, okay, anime is not as bad.
Now I'm an adult and like anime and say anime is stupid.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not kidding. What's there?
I don't know. It was hard, then it was just like really bad. I actually don't know one of the sound for too long, and it actually did melt.
Oh,
But no, those light bricks that they used were beautifully done, so I use those for a lot of things, including having targets that use those lights.
yo, that's sick.
Okay, before we move on, Keith, what's going to say?
Yeah. That's just going to say about these characters, like on the shoulders, knees, whatever. Those metal joints have been longer than Extra Force was.
Yeah, no, those
It
joints have been
really
around, but
goes
this is the
great
first
effect, too.
line that like used them very heavily in every single
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was a cool little thing.
Now then, so events or one thing that they did was they did superheroes for a little bit, starting off with Spider-Man. They were primarily the Sam Raimi version. Actually, Spider-Man wasn't actually its own set. It was part of a set of Lego Studios sets, which were basically Legos shaped to be like movie studios. They did Jurassic Park. They only did 2 movies, Jurassic Park and Spider-Man. And yeah, and then 1 year later, they decided to give Spider-Man its own set when Spider-Man 2 was released. And this was like from when it's first released to the year after. And it changed a lot, Spider-Man. Like, for one thing, you went from yellow to actually human skin color.
When did Spider-Man 1 turn? Wasn't it 1?
I think it was 2004.
Oh, okay. 2002? Okay, yeah, then that makes sense, because that was like when they were getting their money back.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, they did. So Spider-Man started off as just a sub thing from Lego Studios. Eventually, they gave it its own set, and that which carried on to Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, which unfortunately it didn't last that long. But the bright side is they stopped producing these before Spider-Man 3 came out. Otherwise, we may have gotten Disco Peter Parker as a set Lego stuff. Okay.
Is that supposed to be Willem Dafoe? Ugh. Yeah, that's supposed to be Willem Dafoe. Ugh.
Are you saying Willem Dafoe? That's
Yeah.
be Willie Young.
No, it's Willem Dafoe.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, so I'm the weird one. So yeah, so Spider-Man lasted for about 2 years, then it got canned. Eventually they switched properties from Marvel to DC and went with Batman. They made Lego sets based off of the Batman the animated series, or so. So a lot. It was only focused on Batman. You had Batman was some of his greatest enemies as Lego sets. You had every single Batman vehicle there is. Like you have the Batboat, Batmobile, Batwing, Batcopter, Bat, whatever this is.
And you can see that change that I was talking about earlier that like happened in the Star Wars things where like these sets are coming out with like a little mini villain thing to go along with it.
Yeah, you have Killer Croc riding a speedboat. Was like, why does Killer Croc have a speedboat? He can swim in the water. He can breathe in the water and all that. But yeah, they only released Batman for about 2 years. They gave him his own video game though. It was fun as a kid. What? Like a Batman? No, Star Wars was.
Well, Star Wars was the first Traveler's Tales, like in the format that they do now.
Then they went from Indiana Jones, and then Indiana Jones to Batman. But no, we're talking about Traveler's Tales. We're talking about Traveler's Tales. Yeah, what's like Traveler's Tales? Oh, like they're kind of like the big thing for Legos in terms of video games. Like they're doing one on DC Supervillains later this year.
Yeah, they are, which is a weird thing to focus on.
They got like
Lego game.
Yeah, but like they have like Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy in there. But yeah, after Lego Batman only lasted for about 2 years till it was canned, and they didn't release anything superheroes for a long time. My opinion was like probably some Lego tech like, yeah, superheroes are lame. That's not making us any money. Scrap it all.
Wow, that's a good take, Jameson.
I know, man. Anyway, but then around 2011, when superheroes released that, they decided to release more superheroes. And I bet the same Lego exec who originally canned it was like, superheroes are amazing. I mean, who said Lego superheroes were dumb? Probably those Mega Bloks guys. Look, they're stupid. We love superheroes. And then they released nothing but superheroes. So, but still, one thing that's pretty cool is that they have the rights to both Marvel and DC.
So you get those old Marvel and DC crossovers, and also Lego is the only way that DC makes good movies.
Oh yeah, look at that here.
You're not wrong. That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, right now superheroes are probably like one popular Lego sets right now, right next to Star Wars. Yeah, and here around when the first Avengers came out.
Yeah, that's when they really started like picking them up.
I think that's when it did pick up. But
yeah, they started with Avengers tie-ins, and they kind of progressed it more with like the animated series tie-ins and stuff like that.
One thing I did notice in terms of Marvel sets, the Marvel sets mostly focus on the movies. While DC sets, while they do have some movie sets, DC mostly focus on comic books. Like,
probably because their movies are too edgy.
They couldn't do, fun fact, they couldn't make any Lego sets for Suicide Squad because it has the word suicide in its title. They could not make any Lego sets for Suicide Squad because of the movie's title.
But the Suicide Squad is still in one of the games.
They're called the Squad in one of the Lego video games because, again, they can't use the word suicide. Because promoting suicide to kids is wrong.
I mean, I would say it is. I'd say that's a very sound decision, honestly.
Yes. Or at least I don't want any kids to be asking their parents, "Hey, mommy, daddy, what's suicide?" Lego told me talking that word today.
Oh boy.
But yeah, superheroes are here to stay, and I wanted Lego that originally had superheroes and right now it's probably going to do it. So, we did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is around the time they mainly focused on the Nickelodeon series, the one that's heavily CGI. It's a pretty good series to be honest. If you were a fan of old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I would recommend watching the newer series. Especially, I think the newer series also take an anime aesthetic. But they not only did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the Nickelodeon series, they also did the Michael Bay series.
I didn't know these existed until you just showed me these.
Yes.
And now I wish you didn't.
Yes. And it still looks just as ugly as they do in the movies. It's like, which one looks more appealing to you?
I don't. Honestly, like, people will hate on that Ninja. People will hate on all of the new Ninja Turtles cartoons every time they come out. But like, I don't think there's been a single bad Ninja Turtles like cartoon all over. That's not a cartoon.
It's considered a cartoon.
Debatable.
Anyways, but yeah. So they decided to focus on both Ninja Turtles, and they were released simultaneously as well. I think this one lasted a bit more because, well, this one was better.
Yeah, and also I think that series went on for a while.
Oh yeah, no, it went on for like plenty of seasons. And like I said, the CGI series was actually pretty good too. And if you were ever a Ninja Turtles fan, I would recommend checking it out. Oh yeah, avoid these.
Yeah. If you're gonna watch a movie, watch the first and second movie, the ones with Jim Henson puppets or the Jim Henson suits. I know they were Jim Henson. No. After they stopped using the Jim Henson things, they went to crap. Anyway. So, well, this is far superior to anything Lego's making right now. Don't at me. So, this is science Bricktion. It's not just Legos. So I got to talk about the what is going on the other side of brick. You know what? Look at these. This is amazing looking when you consider the fact that Lego isn't really making a whole lot of non-movie sets right now. Like you have. So what happened here was like what was Halo was trying to get building toy licenses a few years ago, and they went to Lego. Lego gave them a deal that Microsoft didn't like, and Megablocks did. And then Megablocks did a really crappy job. And then Megablocks became Mega Constructs, and then it got really good.
Well, Mega Constructs doesn't have much for them.
I mean, they have enough. Like most of them are figure packs, but like there's still plenty of sets like this, and like the Wasp up there, which is just really great.
But they also have Pokemon too.
They do. They have Pokemon. They also have Destiny, which is interesting. But then so for me on these sets, it's just the craftsmanship on so many of these pieces are amazing. Like these propellers are put together so that they look more like propellers than anything that Lego has made for that. The pieces for these are like textured so that they fit where they go. And like you can argue that hurts building new things with them, building original creations out of them. But it also makes these sets have a lot more like shelf value and look a whole lot nicer. And I think that like is exemplified even more in the figures themselves. Like these are barely bigger than regular minifigures, and like other than that face, these things look really good. Like there is a stunning amount of detail in some of these.
I want to play offer just from that face, but then I remember that those Star Wars figures we saw earlier.
Yeah, that's also a problem.
Also, Lego has pieces that are just propellers.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. But these are like multiple pieces put together that look at least as much like a propeller as Lego's propellers. That's an old thing. Usually, so before, when they were Mega Blocks, that was a big problem. After the last like year or so, they've upped their plastic quality by a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, old Mega Blocks definitely had a problem with brittle plastic and thin plastic, which I'm not going to defend. That was not cool. But also, Lego is no stranger to that either. Like that time in 2007 when every lime green Bionicle piece would just break for no reason. Yeah, and then they decided to fix it by changing the joint designs, and then they all broke for no reason. Oof. I'm an oof more for dropping the cat than for the Lego knockoff, because yeah, it is a Lego knockoff. But you know what? I think it's doing Lego better than Lego is right now. Mm-hmm. Everything's a knockoff. It's true.
Okay, so eventually, Lego decided, you know what, we're big enough to make our own movie. And so we got the Lego movie. That's right, they did. They did a better job than any 1 hour or an hour and a half toy commercial should be.
I don't know, I think there's something the best movie.
Okay, but yeah, well, No, but this one is definitely a lot better. But now, this one's
this is a
this
lot
was-
better than those ones are.
Well, yeah. Like, I don't know, like, this movie was actually really good. Like, it had a pretty good story, great humor, and also had a pretty emotional ending to it as well. That actually got pretty deep than it should. But yeah, it was a great movie. Yeah, and they're making a sequel to this.
Yeah, so I
Also spin-offs. Focusing on Batman and Ninja.
We're gonna get there. So yeah, it was a great movie. They did really well, and they should have at least been nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
The only thing they got nominated was that song "Everything Is Awesome." That's the only nomination they got out of this movie.
And of course, they lost. They lost that because a Disney movie came out that year.
Was it? They lost to.
No, I thought it was.
Oh no, it was Big Hero 6. They lost to Big Hero 6. Oh. No, wait, I don't know.
It was either Big Hero 6 or Frozen. Charlie Day is my spirit animal.
It was, and then they have this little cat.
So, well, apparently,
Fine.
you know, it's like, oh, whatever. I guess we'll be coming back to movies in a little bit. So I kind of wanted to talk about Ninjago, but my source for most of my Ninjago lore kind of bailed on me at the last second, so I'm kind of going off the cuff here.
Joe?
Joe, I don't know, like the actual lore, but I saw like a Ninjago movie, like a parody of their own lore. Yeah, I do know that the Ninjago movie had nothing to do with the actual lore of Ninjago.
It was a parody of the actual war. It was like some of the same characters. But I know a lot of fans of Ninjago were happy with it because they didn't understand that's a big joke like Batman one.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Like the Joker started off
Yeah. So what I do know about Ninjago is like they started off with like those kind of spinny gimmick things, and they kind of just, and then when they had their TV series, they kind of just went for a little bit with it, and they thought it was, yeah, and I die inside every time I read it. Yeah,
It really is.
But like, so I think when the TV show started off, it was, you know, cheesy, and they tried to just make it like a little kids thing. But it eventually started to find its identity a lot more, and it kind of started pacing itself a little bit like an anime. Like there's a tournament arc and everything, and they had like the twists that like Zane was a robot the whole time, and he was evil for a little bit, and then he wasn't evil. And then there was a future AU where Master Wu was a cyborg.
They also have snake people.
Yeah, they did have snake people. I don't really know much about this.
Crap people. Well, I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, so wasn't that good?
I enjoyed it. Knowing nothing about the series, it was still fun.
Yeah. I think, I like what the movie did with Garmadon, though. I love, if nothing else, I at least love the minifigures that it released for him with like him in his pajamas. Those are really fun little. Yeah.
I like the
Lloyd.
elements like ice, water, fire, earth, and green.
Yeah.
Oh, Dumbo.
Yeah. Wow.
Actually,
That's meta.
most would be one.
No, that wasn't that. It was just the color green.
Mhm. Well, there's a reason for that too. That has a lot to do with the 5 elements in. I don't know what, I know it's Chinese. I don't know what Chinese thing it's from, but the 5 elements is I think it's water, fire, air, wood, and metal.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
So the Avatar just defined the.
Well, no, because that followed Western alchemy, which was earth, water, fire, air.
Okay, so where did water come from? There's so much in rock music.
What?
There's earth, wind, and fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you remember when it was now September?
They said a movie raised the house, and I remember, yeah, movies have been pretty successful too. Like a movie, the movie.
That's Batman movie in years.
Well, pretty successful. Hopefully,
I mean, I feel like Ninjago partly flopped because it was a property that people weren't as familiar with. And because you look at the Lego movie, that is just Lego. Everyone knows what Lego is. You look at Lego Batman, maybe people don't play with Lego Batman, but goddamn it, they know what Batman is.
The fact that Lego Batman was the property in the movie.
Yeah.
So even people who didn't know Batman lore or didn't know Lego lore, they knew that, oh, that was the character in the last one. It was funny how.
Whereas Ninjago seemed like kind of a jump.
Like the Lego Batman movie was largely the Batman from the Lego movie as opposed to the previous Lego Batman.
Yes.
Which were just Batman.
yeah. I don't know. I also overly appreciate how much Batman villains they had, or like how much Batman like Easter eggs and lore they had in this Lego movie.
They had
a lot more than an actual Batman movie.
They had Condiment King. They did have Calendar Man.
Are we able to spoil it here or now?
Does anyone care about spoilers for Lego? Cool.
They had Daleks.
They did have.
I mean, this movie was mostly just Warner Brothers the movie.
No, that's not
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funnier form.
I don't know, one of the things that probably stood out to me the most is just how they represent Suicide Squad.
They made fun of Batman as well.
Oh yeah, they did.
You're looking at my true experience.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I appreciate most about the Lego Batman movie is it took lampooned all of the mistakes of previous Batman incarnations, and they still made Batman romantically interesting in Barbara Gordon.
And it would have been so much.
Joe.
So I was they everything is awesome. They're not losing Disney song. They're actually here. They lost a Rory song.
From who?
Selma.
Oh, Selma. Okay.
I think that's fair.
I mean, everything is also losing the Oscar.
Also, everything is also it's not that great of a song.
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's supposed to be the generic song.
Yeah, like they purposely written that song to be like this generic pop song thing. But then with the movie's themes of like conformity and all that.
And then the Lego Batman movie just made a generic pop song. Didn't fit the themes, they just did it.
Hey, we played it in Starfest for 2 years in a row.
Yeah, we did.
No, we did it last year.
We
And the year
either did Friends
before.
or Family or a different one from Lego Batman movie, but either way, we did the same song 2 years. Either way, this is behind the scenes stuff. Anyway, that's a Lego.
Honey,
yeah,
where's my pay?
I don't know that reference.
It's from the Lego movie.
I didn't watch the Lego movie. I was just letting you go on.
I
don't know. I really like Charlie Day. Fair enough.
Yeah. They can make a good movie. most of the time. So, you mean Infinity War is the biggest crossover event in history?
Oh boy.
That's wrong. We got Lego Dimensions.
Oh, right.
This is so.
This is a surreal experience.
So, well, at the time. So at the time, Skylanders was a thing. Disney Infinity was a thing. Was Nintendo releasing Amiibos before this?
Yeah, they did
No. Okay, so then Legos figured, you know what? We can do Toys to Life too. What if we did Toys to Life, but just mass every property that does not relate to each other? Like, so yeah, they made Lego Dimensions, a weird crossover game. It crossovered with many things. Like, as you see, you have Sonic, Doctor Who, Simpsons, Back to the Future, Portal. Yes, well, it's like, and some of these things they didn't have their own Lego sets. Like, they specifically got the rights to use them only for this game, and it's really weird. Like, and even some of the
Simpsons like super uncanny valley. I'm like, I don't know what they were thinking here.
And the thing, and also like they had properties in this game like little kids would not know of. Like they had Knight Rider in this game. The show that starring David Hasselhoff in his car that Star-Lord said was his dad, pretended it was his dad. They had him in this game. They also had the A-Team. What? Teen Titans No. It's like, they had E.T. They had E.T. as well. Yeah, they just had the. Oh my God, that's right. They had the Powerpuff Girls and they had their large heads. They had Adventure Time too, which Adventure Time actually looked pretty good. I think it was based on the new show.
Well, no, I mean they come out before the TV show.
No, I think it was around the time of the new TV reboot. Yeah, but you could tell from the game because a lot of what they took from the game was basically moments from the story. And I know one of the stories they had for The Simpsons, they took the story of Homer passing out and hallucinating after drinking too many beer. It was like, why would you have it in a kid's game?
Drinking too much was.
Anyways, it was a weird crossover game. They had a lot of strange elements. Oh, they didn't get a good ability. Can you guys hear me?
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah. So some notable.
So,
So notable franchises that are released: Mission Impossible, the Goonies, Gremlins, the A-Team, E.T.
It's like they just took all of 80s sci-fi.
They just took a bunch of random properties. But yeah, but maybe some Lego Dimensions, Gladys and Al got to talk to each other.
Yeah, and you know, this game is like, I don't know if any of you guys ever played Scribblenauts, but like, I feel like it's that level of like random and just what you can expect to find in this game. I mean, I don't.
I would be surprised.
They might have though.
They did have a Wicked with Celeste.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah,
have all of them in this game.
That was the first time. Because, it is a really nice game, but that time, they get to know honestly, like, move the figures around. And then also having to then, also based on that, then throwing all the figures and vehicles that kind of demonstrate.
But yeah, so, and like, because of logistic stuff like that, and also because people don't really like having to keep buying toys to keep their online subscription alive. It's almost like Neopets died or something. Lego Dimensions, like every other Toys to Life, kind of just shut down. Skylanders is still, yeah. They announced, I think they announced an expansion of E3 actually.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, Ubisoft is now joining into the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
With Starlink.
Yeah, and I'm not looking forward to that, despite, especially, not the least of which, because it's the only way I'm getting any Star Fox.
Star Fox.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But thanks for the Dimensions for being weird and with your Star crossovers.
I'm Godspeed to you, gentlemen.
So, this is going to be coming for a while, but Lego has recently announced that they're going to be touching Overwatch. Popular shooter game. You can probably guess who they are. These figures are based on silhouettes.
Boy, do I have thoughts about what they're doing with Reinhardt, making him actually minifigure scale instead of a mega. No, they're not. He's
Reinhardt?
yeah, he's just minifigure scale. They aren't doing like a mega fig with the armor or anything. They're just.
I think it's Reinhardt before his helmet. I thought that was Hanzo.
Yeah.
I thought that was Hanzo. Now I see it. Star and
No, this is Genji.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's
Probably,
gonna make her
you're gonna be a Lego.
Good. It's doing like good. Reinhardt, Genji, Soldier 76, and Mercy.
They probably, maybe. They're probably gonna touch all the heroes. But yeah, this is
I feel like that's what they should do, but you know what? Knowing how Lego's been making their sets lately, yeah.
This is technically gonna be the first time that Lego's actually touching a video game property.
Well, as a set.
Yeah, that's is it? Seems. I mean, yeah, I guess.
I mean, if anyone can think of anything other video game property that could turn into Lego sets.
Yeah, either way, like I am skeptically optimistic about how this may turn out.
Well, who knows? And with that, we've reached our end. Business, numbers indeed.
Yes. So one thing, there was calling, maybe for you or maybe I heard they call it, but they had a program where they actually designed their own set. And it's like that, yeah. They actually make their own set. Or they'll just do it. It doesn't need like, that's how you got to do stuff for Lego Dimensions. It actually wasn't.
Something who actually, yes, it was an idea, but I think it was released after Lego.
So yeah, it was in ideas first. It got popular. They were Lego Dimensions, and then that's where it started.
I know Lego Dimensions and also Lego Ideas helped create some Lego sets, like they helped with Ghostbusters, Scooby Doo. Yeah.
That's cool.
I think
there was definitely
plays Wally in Lego Incredibles.
I think there was definitely some stuff we didn't talk about, like I think Lego Mindstorm was something that
Yeah,
I
like
kinda wanted to bring
Mindstorm,
up,
like-
but I wasn't sure if we have time.
Yeah.
But if there's anything you guys want to talk about? Oh my gosh, I like to vaguely remember those. Those were
Basically, the humans with Mars.
I remember this.
Mhm.
I remember.
Oh, what
this.
about you? What do you have?
I remember
I
this
I
existing.
think there's another Lego brand called Lego Power Miners, which involves
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
for miners and they search for crystals against rock monsters.
We talked a little bit about power miners in our. We talked a little bit about power miners in our when we did this as a Starfest panel. We kind of decided to cut it for this because we thought that people didn't really know about it, but
Yeah, that's it.
apparently
That's
this is like this is like the big thing that I just slept on. Yeah, this is like I always like the drill pieces for
And
these.
they also have,
Oh, yeah, I remember those. They were like a bunch of scuba divers.
Lego Lances, yeah, Lego Lances and Lego Aqua Raiders. Aqua Raiders,
That sounds
Aqua Raiders,
familiar.
yeah, now believe me, that's a thing. Lego Aqua Raiders. Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's a thing.
I remember seeing those in the magazine.
There's so many Lego
forgot about them.
brands that happened over the years.
Joe, do you want to?
I have one scuba set. I don't think it was like there's also Earth Mission, which
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm old, so like I had some older ones.
Did you own any Baraki or Toamari? They had an entire Bionicle year dedicated to being underwater.
I got some of those bionic sets.
Yeah, Zach, did you have?
But Lego Rock Raiders. I never
Yeah.
Lego what?
Lego Rock Raiders.
Yeah, that's what you're just
But
doing.
the associated real-time strategy game.
The Rock Raiders.
When I was little, I never had as much as
Mhm.
I don't know if it.
Yeah, Rock Raiders was actually a it was the prototype for what was the one that we were just on? Power Miners. Yeah, Rock Raiders was the thing that they like tried to do to pilot for Power Miners, and
something that you would use.
yeah, that was right when that was back when they just started calling the Brickland system sets. Interesting.
So those old original, like your first slide, the space set, the weird blue robot thing. How much do those sell for now? 'Cause I kind of want.
Oh gosh, I mean they're old, but it doesn't necessarily depend on how old they are. It mostly depends on how many actually got sold. Because like Bionicle sets, they're like 15 years old now, and they still sell for at retail at best.
I mean, I don't know, I've seen Bionicles pretty expensive.
I think
They have Lego Universe.
Lego Universe.
But it closed down after like 2 years.
Yeah, I actually used to play a lot of Lego Universe. Mom got it for me for Christmas. Yeah, I played a lot of it. It was like an actual MOBA thing where you fight monsters and stuff, and you get to join classes and like different teams and all that. They expanded a lot for a couple of years and stuff, and then it kind of lost popularity and stuff.
That's cool.
There's another block thing called Dynamics, where they actually have a How to Train Your Dragon variation of bricks, where it's got this really cool transforming brick mechanism to allow for the wings to move and the head and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a basic 2x4 brick, but it's built so that it folds outwards and basically you catch the wings, the head, and you can actually flap the wing.
Yeah, because I know when Lego tries to do something like that, they end up the bricks always end up being like shaped weird. from that?
You have
you
to-
know?
Yeah, that's gonna remember the old online housing. It was it was a game on the Lego website, but there's like this whole website dedicated to it now, and there's people who have been like fixed all the parts and everything.
Wasn't like this?
Yeah, you can still play it.
Oh my gosh.
There's a whole bunch of people who have been maintaining it. After
Yeah.
taking it off the website.
It's the same thing for the,
Remember Lego Jump Bot? Remember those mobile games where you crack Legos to try to so the robot can pick up all trash? That was a really cool one.
I kept using up Wally.
but no, like, I think there's the same thing for a lot of, there are a lot of like Lego properties, like, the one that, oh wow, that is adorable.
National for Lego. So
That is,
nice to have that actually.
I wanted one, but it's like $60. I mean, Legos are all expensive.
Very expensive despite being injectable.
I know it's not sci-fi, but can we appreciate how amazing the Lego Harry Potter sets are?
Yes!
I am a rare person who didn't grow up with Harry Potter, but I love Legos enough that I love the Lego Harry Potter sets without knowing anything about Harry Potter, just because of the components they have. But
I mean, they are amazing. Three times.
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure they had
They released some early on when that same thing with Star Wars, they had like yellow like heads or whatever. It got canned for a bit. It was brought back later on.
It was actually just
Yeah, it was just brought back again because of the Fantastic Beasts series.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I thought it was like. I know at some point they had a set with like working moving staircases, which was that just like blew my mind as a kid, or it blew my mind now. I don't know when I saw it.
For when the Chamber of Secrets came out, I got the Lego Chamber of Secrets entrance way where you go down to the bathroom and you actually have the entire chamber with the bathroom. And I got that set.
Chamber of Secrets or Prisoner of Azkaban, when they started having like, you have different like parts of Hogwarts, but if you bought multiple sets, they could like put that together.
No, it started from like the original book because they built like a couple of bits. Then they realized, wait, if we start just building like sections, everybody can get those sections and start.
Oh, so they actually added on to the sort of stuff.
Yeah, because you can actually build them all together. They're all separate pieces.
Cool.
Yeah. Or you can be an absolute madman like Jang Bricks and do that exact same thing with Lego City. They might have that. Well, they did that as a movie time.
Also, Minecraft.
Oh yeah, ew.
Oh, yeah.
It's the most obvious kind of.
It's just easy money.
Yeah, it's the most obvious stuff, but it's also redundant.
On that note, Lego honestly, I wasn't surprised.
Only when they invent a special block that lets you thank the bus driver.
Oh, wait a second. You took a break from Lego to talk about the mega Halo stuff?
Yeah.
They had Mario stuff too.
Did they?
Yeah, I didn't make it once or one thing or something.
Or was it Connect?
It was Connect.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if it was Connect, I don't know anything about
I
that.
like Connect. Connect is fun.
It's actually pretty great.
Yeah. God, what is it with Nintendo and like giving their like licenses to the most Diet Coke of whatever toy manufacturer they're doing? Like they do Connects for their building toys, they did Illumination for their movie.
And then Universal one. Isn't it actually, I think they were like Pokemon.
Yeah, no, there are. These are. I mean, like full on. Yeah, these things are great. And like that spin rack up there, like it's a little guy, but like, yeah. I love these little dudes. Yeah, which is really nice. Personally, I'm happy that there is competition in the market against Lego now. This is more substantial competition.
They have their own stores.
In Times Square.
No,
No, but also in Times Square.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
They have their own theme parks.
I mean, I guess
like Lego is still the Disney of toy lines.
I mean, Lego concerts haven't went out of business just yet, so.
They're not going to anytime soon.
They're the Disney toy lines. They're also ignoring Muppets on the Lego Ideas page.
Aww.
Yeah. Pretty good.
But yeah, so is there any other cool Lego or Mega Blocks or Connects stuff that you guys had?
I mean, it's none of those, but it is Bricktion sci-fi.
Oh.
There was no really.
Is it RIT?
No, I was gonna say there was a lot for Minecraft, but they actually built one for papers to get Minecraft.
So I'm on the Lego Ideas page right now. They're having a contest for most imaginative Voltron seed.
Oh yeah, Lego Voltron's coming out. How do we forget to mention that?
One of the top 8 things that someone has submitted is Mystery Town and Gravity Falls.
Yeah, that looks beautiful. That looks really nice.
That's very bad. Animated Lions.
Yeah, I think that's based on the OG Voltron, not
Yeah, like
the
they
legendary
using
kind
the
of-
original logo too. It's like,
Oh,
wow.
please.
What?
Someone put on Lego Ideas. They should put it on.
Oh my God, please.
Exorcist?
Yeah, it's one of the earlier.
There is a first on YouTube.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's the original design. And that's
Wow.
Yeah, that looks metal. Like, I can definitely see them never releasing a set like this
No, they did.
today.
They did release one of those.
No, I mean today.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that's cool.
You see how they like, that picture to the left now? That's his design, but they do change it. That's the design they created.
Yeah, no, I love that. So
If you have a chance, just go around on the Lego Ideas site and like vote for cool things. They might make them. There's a lot of cool stuff I get to more.
I think you know,
That don't think about that to me yet.
definitely check out Lego Ideas. And with that, I think that's the mission. I'd like to turn things over to Hammer quick before we go for some quick closing announcements.
business, and more business.
Sure.
I'm gonna use,
Not a ton of announcements. I'll just remind you guys of some details from before. Again, October 5th, we're going to be doing, we're going to be watching Venom. October 6th, we're going to be doing Neurocalypse. This Sunday, 1 to 3, we're going to be doing Starfest informational meeting. And additionally, I'd like to say the world could end, honestly, at any moment without our even realizing it. So Star would personally like to thank you for spending potentially your final moments here with us. Yeah, I think that's about everything. Sunday, 1 to 3. Repeat.
And Starfest.
And
You might find a membership or a t-shirt or something over there.
Awesome. Bye-bye, everyone.
but,
Well, next time we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh, the one thing we did.